Oh, hello. Welcome once again to Stuff and Things, where I like to talk about stuff and occasionally even things. I'm your good friend Bradley, and today is a very pleasant Sunday Stuff and Things. And on this pleasant Sunday Stuff and Things, we have much stuff and things to talk about, including upcoming videos, things that you can look forward to on Stuff and Things and Stuff and Things Plays, a very weird product that I received for Christmas. Is like a stocking stuffer, but now I am obsessed with it. Talk about that a little bit. It's fun to kind of show you something that I've gotten into lately. Talking about a weird thing I've noticed lately, and maybe this is an old man curmudgeonly thing to get into, but I had an experience when I was getting a flat tire fixed recently, and it's about a skill that I always thought was kind of important that many people don't seem to have anymore. Get into that. I want to talk about my little brother making these cool card slots, card holders, keychain card holders. We'll talk about that a little bit. We need to mention the Super Bowl just briefly. And then, of course, your questions, comments, and feedback in hashtag askstuffandthings. So let's get into it. Okay, what can you look forward to on Stuff and Things and Stuff and Things Plays? Well, I did a weird one, but this one is super interesting to me, and hopefully it will be to you. Socks. What kind of socks do you wear? Well, I wear darn tough boot socks when I do my work, when I do my construction work, concrete work. And I had to do a video about these because I've been wearing these for years now. They're pretty much the only socks I wear. They are definitely the only socks I wear for work, and pretty much the socks I wear for just daily life. And they're amazing, and they have an amazing lifetime guarantee, and you need to buy these socks. I'm not in any way sponsored by Darn Tough. They didn't contact me asking me to do this video, but I did a video on Darn Tough socks. And if you are buying those big packs of socks that you get at Target, places like that, stop buying them, start buying these. It was a public service message, and that's why I did the video. That video will be posting this Wednesday. The next Wednesday, we will have the full review of Esoterica Tobaciana Peacehaven. This is a weird one, very weird one. You know how much I've loved all the Esoterica blends that we have tried on the channel. This one's a little different. Stay tuned for that. And then we will have a video about reaming your pipe. Something very important that not a lot of people talk about in the pipe hobby or the pipe community, and something that I think a lot of people need to check out if you are into the pipe hobby. I go over how to do it and why you need to do it. That video will be posting the Wednesday after. And then, of course, we have every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday, the Elden Ring series continuing on Stuff and Things Plays. Okay, gang. This is some weird stuff. And it's something that I didn't know existed until Diamond threw some in my stocking for Christmas. And it is this. I don't know if the name brand matters very much because I tried to look it up on Amazon and there were all sorts of different companies making this. Something made in China. This is called Puladiki Universal Dust Cleaning Gel. You can see the bottle there, Puladiki, but there are all sorts of different brands. It's all the same thing. It's this goo that you use to clean things. I think a lot of the utility they were mentioning for this is cleaning like your center console in your car where you get dust everywhere and it's really hard to get into all the nooks and crannies. Cleaning keyboards, cleaning electronic devices. I got it. She was like, here you go. You can use this. I was like, oh, okay, thank you. Weird. Didn't really think much of it. I put it in a drawer in my desk. And then a couple days ago, I was noticing just how disgusting my keyboard was. And it is such a pain to clean my keyboard because it's a mechanical keyboard. The keys come off. They're supposed to be able to come off. They're replaceable. But trying to like vacuum it or do anything like that, if you try to vacuum it, all the keys are just going to get sucked off into the vacuum, which is quite irritating. You can try to blow compressed air, but that's a mess. And so I thought, I wonder if this goo can clean my keyboard. It can, and it did, and it cleaned it amazingly well. You basically take any surface that is dirty. Here I have as an example, this is a Boss DS1 distortion pedal from the early 90s. I don't know if you can see how much dust is on there, but it is pretty dirty. And this is a similar kind of thing where it's really hard to get into all the nooks and crannies here in between the knob. But if you take this goo, you just goo it on there and it gets into everything. Just goo it on. And then you rub it around and you push it into all the nooks and crannies and it cleans everything. It's amazing. Okay, can I show this to you? Will it even show up? Now look at this. I'm gooing it on. Ugh. Take it out, you can see the imprint left by the knobs, and now all the dust that was in between those knobs is gone. It's a game changer. It's amazing. I haven't used it on my car yet because there's so much crap in the center console of my car and like on the instrument panel and everything that this would be kind of useless for electronics. I'm going to keep this for electronics, for my guitar pedals. I've been using it on my guitar bridges. You know, it's hard to get in between the saddles to get the dust and stuff that gets in between there. So I'm going to use that for this, and I'm going to get another jar to use in my car. I need multiples of these. I need these all over the house, and I will use these all the time. And they're also amazing, just to squeeze. I don't know how long these would last. They have that kind of, what would you call that? Like fluid dynamics, whatever, where if you hit them hard, they're kind of firm. I'm spanking my goo here, gang. But if you go slowly, it goos out everywhere. It's amazing stuff. I love it, and you guys should check it out. I just had to tell you about it because I think it's so cool. Okay, so the other day I woke up and went out to my car and started it up and noticed that I had a dash light indicator saying that I had a low tire. The tire pressure warning indicator was on. So I got out of my car, walked around, saw on the left rear, the driver's side, the tire wasn't just low, it was completely flat. So I yanked the spare out, changed the tire, ran into a place called Discount Tire, which we have in town here. It's where I always get my tires because they will always fix a flat for you if you bought your tire from them. They'll fix it for free. So I ran over there. They're like, oh, it'll be an hour, hour and a half. So I dropped the tire off. And I had parked my car in the parking lot, and typically they will, when it's time for your car, they'll go out there, they'll get in your car, they'll drive it into the actual workspace, and they'll start working on your car. And I was sitting in the little waiting area, and I saw one of their employees go out and approach my vehicle, and he opened the car, he got inside, he sat in it for a second, and then he got out, and he shut the door, and he ran back in. I was like, can he not drive a stick? My car is a manual transmission. It's a Volkswagen Golf. And so he ran back inside. I saw him consulting with some people. Someone else walked out to the car and looked inside and was like, So I went outside and was like, hey, can you drive the car? Is there a problem? What's up? And nobody there could drive a stick. Out of about the 6 or 7 people that were working at this tire store, nobody could drive a stick. So they had to wait. They wouldn't let me pull it into the place. I was like, I can just drive it in for you. No. They had to wait for about 20 minutes until somebody came off their break who could drive a stick. And then he pulled the car in and they worked on it. Isn't that weird? Am I just really old? I mean, yes, I know I'm really old, but if you're a mechanic especially, or you work in a If you're a mechanic or you work in a tire store or you're dealing with cars in general, shouldn't it be pretty important for you to be able to drive a stick shift? I know that most new cars sold in the US, I know Europe is different, but for the US, there are almost no stick shifts being sold anymore. And that's kind of worrying me because if I ever get a newer car, it's going to be really hard to get a stick shift. And I always want a stick shift. I've always had a stick shift and I have always driven a stick shift. And so it's going to be irritating if it gets to the point where I can't buy a stick shift anymore, but there's still plenty of them around. And I would just think most dudes who work on cars should be able to drive a stick. So I'm just curious, all of you out there, I know that in Europe, there are still lots of stick shifts, but for people in the US, how common is it? How many of you know how to drive a stick? Is it a man-woman thing? I know a lot of people try to put some sort of gender spin on this where like men can drive, but women can't. drive sticks, but all of these guys were men, and none of them could do it except for the one guy who was out on his break. So how common is it? And is there an age thing? If you are under 35, 40, is it much less common for you to know how to drive a stick? Let me know in the comments below, because my first car was a stick shift. I have always driven a stick shift. I obviously know how to drive an automatic as well, but I just found it hard to believe that out of 6 employees at a tire store, only one of them knew how to drive a stick. Kind of weird. All right, gang. Now, I would like to show you this. This is a leather card holder / keychain. You could put a ring here and put your keys on this and then have this carrying your cards if you wanted to go really minimalistic. And this was made for me by my little brother. You can see there's even a little SAT on the bottom there. And he has started making these. He started to do leather work in general. And it's really cool. It's all hand stitched, hands finished. He made a video that I will link to in the description box below where he talks about making these and shows the process involved. And then he also has an Etsy store, which I will link to as well. And I just think it's really cool. I told him that I would show you guys on my channel this thing, because I think he started making them a few months ago, and you know, there are so many products on Etsy and it's really hard for anyone to notice what you're doing. I think he sold a few of them, but I told him I would tell you guys about it, and I'm sure that there are some of you who would be interested in a really cool little minimalistic card holder made by my little brother. Very cool, and he's going to try to do some more products in the future as well, and I will probably tell you guys about those once he does them. Check it out. Link in the description below. All right, briefly, we have to talk about football a little bit. We are into the championship round of the playoffs. We have the 49ers versus the Eagles and the Bengals versus the Chiefs. I talked a little bit about it maybe a couple weeks ago where I was saying now that the Seahawks were gone out of the playoffs, I didn't really have a horse in the race. I wasn't really too worried about who won the NFC Championship or the AFC Championship or who was going to be in the Super Bowl. But now that we're down to the Final Four, the 49ers are in the Seahawks division, and I don't want them to win the Super Bowl. But it might be fun if they won the NFC Championship and then lost in the Super Bowl again. I might like that. As far as the Bengals and the Chiefs, I was really more into, as far as the AFC, the Bengals and the Bills. I thought it would have been cool for either of them to make it to the Super Bowl now that the Bills are gone, because they were playing the Bengals. Were they playing the Bengals? I can't remember now. Now that the Bills are gone, they're playing the Chiefs. I don't like the Chiefs. I don't know why. There's just something I don't like about the Chiefs. Don't hold it against me if you're from Kansas City. So I would like the Bengals to beat the Chiefs. And I would like the Bengals to play the 49ers in the Super Bowl. It doesn't really matter either way. If they were playing the Eagles, that would be fine too. But it would be more fun for me if the Bengals played the 49ers in the Super Bowl and beat them. That's what I would like to happen. Thank you. All right, gang, but now it is time for hashtag #AskStuffandThings. Remember, if you have a question for me and you would like it answered on the Sunday Stuff and Things, tweet at SATBradley with the hashtag #AskStuffandThings, or you can write to me via Patreon and go to the front of the line, or you can send a super thanks via YouTube and go to the front of the line. And you can write to me on my YouTube videos. You can leave comments, questions, feedback, all that good stuff. I read them all, and then I pick out good questions for the Sunday Stuff and Things. So first, via YouTube super thanks, thank you so much. This is from Les Brady. You'll probably be in the top 0.5 percentile of readers after delving that deeply into Homer. Any thoughts on an SAT book club? I'd be into reading something concurrently with you. That's a good idea, and that's something that I may keep in mind. I'm not a slow reader when I'm actually reading, but I don't read as often, and so it might take me too long to get through a book if we're doing that. I used to read all the time. I used to read during my lunch breaks, any spare time I had. Now that I've got this stupid thing, I'm looking at this way too often, but I'll keep that in mind. That might be cool. Next, another super thanks via YouTube from Scottum. Thank you, Scottum, very much. Scottum says, I actually feel myself shying away from Esoterica at this time in my journey. Hundreds of dollars into teas over the past few years, and I don't feel I've scratched the surface of likes, dislikes, quality, etc. Don't feel the money would be worth it at the moment, but your good word makes me look forward to it in the future. Thanks. Thank you, Scottum. Now we have some feedback from last week's Sunday Stuff and Things. This is from Rick778. I've tried several Esoterica blends over the years and did enjoy them. They are worth the manufacturer's price. We were talking about whether or not the Esoterica blends are worth it. Excuse me. Next, from Johnny Dingo. I've had Esoterica blends. They're very good, but I don't go out of my way to get any pipe teas, nor will I pay more than the MSRP for it. And that's a common, that was a common sentiment in a lot of the replies on that video. A lot of people said they're great, but they wouldn't pay over the manufacturer's suggested retail price. This is from our good friend Colin Kelly. I honestly believe that the Esotericas and the cult thereof really actually turned me away from pipes and pipe-essing. It is wonderful stuff, and I have picked up a few bags, but I found the obsessional approach to them very off-putting. It really used to irk me quite a bit to watch all the gang in the YTPC and Instagram and others who just went out of their way to show how many they got, while also primarily keeping so many from being able to actually enjoy it. It does seem to have faded a bit, though you still see pages who actually go live and stock it out. If I stumble into it, I will get it. But long gone, I think he means, but long gone are my days of going crazy just for the blessing of getting them on those rare few occasions. I totally understand that, Colin, and I saw that as well back in the day, especially where people would be like, look, I've got 20 tins of this. I bought out my local brick and mortar store. It's like, okay, that's nice, but other people might like a chance to get some as well. So I definitely understand. Next, from Joe Martin. Being from the UK, I haven't had the Esoterica blends, and I keep forgetting that the Esoterica blends are for the American market, not for the European market. But I do have access to Germain blends the US are unable to get, and they are very good. The thing with Germain's blend is the unique proprietary processes they have. No other tea tastes like theirs, and if you love it, you really love it. I personally feel the current market in pipe tea and cigars is in a weird cycle of feeding the Reddit-type acquisition porn with constant small and exclusive releases and half the people hoarding rare stuff. Either tea, wine, whiskey, etc. are missing out of the enjoyment of actually consuming these products, but to each their own, I guess. Like what you like and don't worry about what you can't have. Good advice, Joe. Next, from Corbin Bourbon. Overall, yes, the Esoterica blends are probably the best. Are they worth the hype? No. They're worth a try, but they aren't going to blow your socks off, as in you might be disappointed because they're on such a high pedestal. Good point. And Bradley, if you don't play the new Zelda games on the channel, I'll be very let down, or the new Zelda game. I probably will. We'll see. It just depends on when I finish Elden Ring and when that comes out and all that other stuff. Next, we have some feedback on Esoterica Peacehaven first impressions. This is from Big Country Briar. I love Peacehaven, but the bouquet had me doubtful the first time I opened a bag. The topping was overpowering and had to air out a while, but then it became a delicious, complex blend of sweet, sour, fermented Virginia, complemented perfectly by the topping. One of my favorite Esoterica blends. Enjoy, Bradley. And interesting, you mentioned the topping. We're going to get into that in the full review, so stay tuned for that. And then finally, from Jonathan D., fenugreek might be the menthol-like flavor scent you got. It's used in tea blends and menthol cigarettes. Not saying it's in Peacehaven for sure, because I don't know that, but it's common enough. And that was interesting. I tried to do some research on that, but couldn't find anything definitive. But like I said, we'll get into the topping, and there's definitely a topping on Peacehaven in the full review. So now, gang, thank you so much for writing in. I really appreciate it. Please keep all those questions coming. But it is time for the very best part of the show, and that is where we thank our Patreon supporters. Remember, if you would like to support the channels on Patreon, there is a link in the description box below, and it is much appreciated. You can also hit that super thanks button if you would like to donate directly, but it really helps this show go. It helps pay for the fancy camera that is filming this video, lights that are shining upon me, blends for review and other products that I can purchase and show you. And every week, we like to shout out those who support the channels at $25 or more a month. People like Kirk Crompton, Glenn, Jason Buckner, Gloria Phillips, MDoftheNorth, David Gaudreau, Nick Papageorgio, John Tice, and Finn O'Hagan. And of course, the Maniacs, the crazy people who support the channels at $100 a month. People like Bob Magee, and Ashes of the Phoenix. And we will never forget our dearly departed friend and Hall of Fame member, Peter Straub. Thank you all so much for watching this edition of Sunday Stuff and Things. Please, okay, lots of stuff coming up. Stay tuned for Darn Tough Socks, the best socks ever and socks that you should be buying. Peacehaven review, full review. Reaming, how to ream your pipe and why you should do it. And then, of course, Elden Ring on Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. But until next time, until we meet again, I've been your good friend Bradley. You've been the audience. This has been Stuff and Things. I'll see you later.